So while we're here, let's do a little bit of a life update, I guess. Basically, if you guys follow me on Twitter, you will see that I have been going through some rough times, okay? You will see recently that my ceiling fell in, and that the update is basically that it is full of mold up there, and it is essentially not inhabitable, is that the word that I'm looking for? Neither of those sound right. Why does that not sound right? Anyway, basically I'm currently using my place as kind of like a studio for now, so I'm here during short periods of time while this is, you know, getting fixed. I don't think it's something that will get fixed anytime soon. I'm not living here currently, I'm just stopping by. My living situation is a little, we don't know what's going on. I am going to try to probably like mass film here while I can before things start taking over. Currently things are contained. So yeah, that is where my life is at. My books are currently not here. They are packed up because the air is very moisturous and I was afraid that the mold would get to them, and so they are currently packed away. That's how my life's going. How you all doing? Doesn't have alcohol in it, but I sure as hell wish it did. Hey guys, I'm Ellie and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing my September wrap up for you guys. Today I read 9 things in September, which has been about where I've been all year. However, I would consider this kind of like a lazy reading month for me, in that most of the things I listened to were audio or graphic novel. Nothing wrong with that, absolutely nothing wrong with that. That was just my preferred way, just because I was so busy dealing with things in life. So I'm sure it will be that way for a little bit longer. As always, I'm going to leave timestamps down below so you guys can jump around to whatever it is that you want to find out what I read about. Let's go ahead and I'm going to tell you the statistics. I listened to 5 audios, and 3 of which were actually like part of a series that has been ongoing for me. 2 graphic novel, 2 physical YA books. That was for a total of 1,114 pages. Not bad considering I only really read like 4 physical things. So doing pretty good in life, if I do say so myself, at least in the reading part of my life. So let's go ahead and get into the things that I have read. So as always, I'm going to start with the audiobooks, but I'm going to get the series out of the way that I have been reading. If you guys don't know, I've been hosting a Cirque du Freak read along. This has been ongoing for a few months now, and it ends this month in October. So hopefully we will be finishing up. I am behind, who is surprised? But basically, I listened to 3 of the books. Audiobooks have been amazing. One was Trials of Death, which I can't, it's probably packed away somewhere. I could not fit all my books. But I also had The Vampire Prince and Hunters of Dusk. So these are a reread for me. This basically follows Darren Shan, who is this young boy. He steals this poisonous spider that he absolutely loves because she does these tricks. Steals him from a vampire that is in the Cirque du Freak and ends up getting dragged into the vampire world and all its politics in the war that is going on with the Vampanese, which are just like super extra terrifying vampires. I've been loving this read along and it's just been so much fun. I've been loving to go in and just chat with you guys about it. If you guys don't know, the author has also been stopping into the Goodreads to like read over things and answer questions. So if you have like a burning question in mind, you can go, you know, type that in. Even if like you're not participating, it might be something if you want to add your thoughts to. I ended up giving all of these 4 stars. I just I enjoyed them, but I just don't think that they were like as action-packed as I remember them being as a kid. Fine, whatever. I still very much enjoyed listening to them. The audiobooks are amazing. I just thought these ones were maybe a little slower paced and a little more into like the political aspect of the world. And I'm now reaching the books where things just really start picking up, so I'm excited to continue on with Darren and the vampire world. I love the world. It's one of my favorites. And that just leaves 2 other audiobooks that I am going to tell you guys about. One is Kind of Cruelty, and this is kind of, I don't really know how to describe this book to you guys. I think it's supposed to be kind of marketed as like a psychological thriller, which in a way, I guess it is. However, I wouldn't really consider this a thriller. It doesn't try to be anything other than what it is, basically. It is about a guy. I already know that he's like in a jail cell, and he's just looking back on life, and how he got there is basically him and his long-term girlfriend have broken up, and he is stalking her. I mean, it's straight up like he is stalking her. He is lying to people saying that they're still together, like he has made his house based around like what she would like, and she is marrying someone else, and he's like very much in denial about it. He thinks that they're playing this game called The Crave. I think that's what it was called. Basically, they had this game where they would go out in public, pretend like she was by herself at the bar. They would wait till a guy would hit on her, and then there was a signal, and then he would come and like basically like threaten this guy, and then they would go home together. Like, it turned them on. Whatever your kink is, good for you. But the crave becomes like this very significant part of the story. There is a death that ends up happening, and of course, like, you don't know if it's part of this game. You don't know who to believe. You don't know if he's lying or if she's lying. And basically it was pretty straightforward though. I didn't ever feel like I was like questioning who was right or wrong, which kind of brought the rating down for me, because I do wish that it had been a little more like, oh, like, I'm so messed up, like, I really don't know who did what, because it kind of is pretty straightforward. You're basically just following this guy being a weirdo, following his ex-girlfriend around, and then the things that transpire after that. The most exciting part of this, I thought, was the last part, which is the trial of the murder of this man, and I just thought that was so interesting, because that's where you get a little more information, not from the narrator's point of view. Like, you get to see outsiders' point of views as well. It was also extremely eye-opening to like how women are treated differently in the court, basically. Like, one question you can ask a man can mean one thing, but the same question can mean something totally different for a woman. And just like the really not so great things that, you know, are assumed about women because of just like the crave game. Like, both of them got off on it, but she was judged harshly for it, whereas he was praised for it. So, and how that like worked against her and worked better for him. I like this. I did think that it was slow paced, so I wouldn't really consider it a thriller. I just thought it was interesting overall. Just nothing too new and nothing too amazing. Just kind of whatever. Interesting to listen to, and I ended up giving this 3 stars. And then next I have Sadie. You guys have probably already seen me raving about this. This was fantastic. I do believe that this is going to blow up, and this is going to be like the next big thing on the booktube. This is about a girl. Her and her sister were kind of abandoned by their mother, and so she's been raising her younger sister. Her younger sister is murdered, and Sadie knows who did it, so Sadie goes in search of the murderer. You follow Sadie as she's on this hunt because she knows who did it, but she doesn't know where to find him, so she's kind of hunting him down. However, there's another point of view to this story, and it is told through a podcast about missing girls. The audiobook of this is fantastic. I can't imagine not listening to this. Like, trying to read this physically, I just don't think it would be, like, transcribe as much as well. What are the, Allie, words? Use them. I just don't think this would transcribe as well written down versus listening to it. Just listening to it was so amazing. The podcast part was amazing. Like, there was even like crinkly parts whenever there was like an interview and such. So if you're like new to audiobooks, I would say definitely give that a try. I thought it was really great. I listened to this in one sitting. Like, I just couldn't get enough. I had to know what happened. I had to know like how the podcast was gonna end. I needed to know like what Sadie was doing, because this doesn't just deal with like her just hunting him down. There's very much like other secrets that she comes across, and there's things that Sadie is hiding, and it's also a little bit about like her personal life. She has a stutter, and in the audiobook, like, I think the stutter is so well done. Overall, I thought it was a really well done. However, after giving this like a raving review after reading it, like immediately after reading it and being sucked into that moment, taking a step back, I feel like it definitely was maybe missing some things. Like, there was just some things that were just like really coincidental in my opinion, like, Sadie never really had a dead end. Like, she didn't ever come across something that didn't lead her to something new, new information that she needed. So I think that was, like, pretty unrealistic. I do also believe, like, everyone talks about how mysterious the ending is, but after having thought about it, I really don't think it's that mysterious. Based on Sadie's personality and the outcome of things that have happened, I do believe I know how it ended. 99% sure that I know what happened, so I don't feel like as on the edge, I guess, as you are expected to at the end. But I don't know, maybe if you want to dispute me, you want to figure out what I think, let me know. But I still really enjoyed it. It's still one of my favorite audiobooks that I've ever listened to. I just really enjoyed the overall premise. I loved Sadie, I loved her journey, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Moving on to the graphic novels, I have 2 graphic novels to talk to you guys about, both of which I loved. One of which was I Hate Fairyland Volume 4. You guys will know that I love I Hate Fairyland. It is like my favorite graphic novel series of all time. It is about Gertrude, who as a kid, she, is taken into Fairyland, and she gets there and she's like, this is great and all, but I just want to go home. And so they send her on this quest, and it's like 30 years later, and Gertrude is still on this quest. She absolutely hates Fairyland. She just goes through and causes havoc. She just curses up a storm. She kills everyone that she can. Like, Fairyland, she hates it so much that she just wants to wreck everything that she can. So I absolutely love this. It is hilarious. And a storyline, there's all kinds of pop culture references. Like, it's just so funny and fun, and you can't help but like just follow along. I read this and I was so disappointed because I found out that this is the last one that they are making. This volume 4 it's done now. I read it so quickly and then I found out and I was like, I wasn't ready. And I will say, like, all of these have been 5 stars for me except for this one. I just feel like the series was rushed. I feel like this particular volume was rushed just to get to the end, and I was disappointed in the ending. I didn't think it was open-ended, and I also thought it was really depressing. It just wasn't what I saw, how I saw the series ending, and I'm a little upset about that. This just didn't live up to the other ones. It just very much felt like the creator was done with it and basically was like, I'm gonna throw this volume together and that's gonna be it. And I loved it so much. And I'm so sad it's over. But I give this 4.5 out of 5 stars. So then the other one I read is Giant Days Volume 8. Giant Days is another graphic novel series that I really, really love. This one's just about 3 girls that go to university. They are roommates, and it's just about like their problems with school, their problems with boyfriends, their problems with friends. Like, it's just about their lives. And I don't know why it is so much fun. I don't know if it's just because it's so relatable. They are just so funny. I love them together. They are all 3 very different personalities, but somehow it works. And they're just quirky, and I just love them. Like, there's something I can relate to in every single one of them and all their things that they're going through and stuff. And like, I really loved this one in particular. I don't know what it was about. I don't know if it was just like a little more serious and it dealt with them like trying to like move on from things, and that they're not like these perfect humans and they've done bad things. And I just thought this one was great. I loved it, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Pretty much, I believe, what I've given the rest of the series. So moving on to the 2 physical YA books that I read. So the first one is What If It's Us? I read the arc of it thanks to Amanda from Read All the Books for sending it to me. I thought it sounded so stinking cute. It is about this boy that moves to New York. He is walking outside the post office one day and he sees this really cute boy carrying a box in. So he follows him into the post office, strikes up a conversation, really likes him, doesn't know if he's gay or not, and then he's like, this is my ex-boyfriend's box. And he's like, this boy, I need to know this boy. However, things happen. Like, there's this weird thing that happens in the post office. They get split up, and basically New York City is a big place. They can't find each other. Arthur, who is the one that followed Ben into the post office, he basically kind of goes back and forth about whether or not he should go find this guy, like how he would go about it. And he takes a chance to try to hunt him down. And Ben is trying to get over his ex-boyfriend, but he also can't help but think about the boy at the post office. So he gives a chance on Arthur when the chance arises again. Basically, this is about them doing like do-over after do-over after do-over with each other. Is them constantly asking the question like, you know, should we do this again? What if it's us? What if we make it? And then also, what if we don't? I like that idea. I just didn't like this book. I'm starting to think at this point, I just don't think Adam Silvera's writing is for me. If you guys didn't know, I really did not like The History Is All You Left Me. Despised it. This was basically no exception. I felt the characters were either too over dramatic about things, or they were very underdeveloped, and I just felt no connection either way. Like, I just did not find them all that relatable, even though they made a ton of references to like Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. I still wasn't able to connect to them personally. Like, besides the making jokes about that, like, I just could not relate to anything that they were doing. They were basically kind of shitty to each other on top of that, and I don't know why they kept doing do-overs, because it was pretty obvious that there was absolutely no chemistry between the two of them. Like, none whatsoever. Nothing was great, nothing went well, and it's like, even in your first date, like, there's always some clumsy things that happen, but things work out. Like, you don't need a do-over. If you need like 10 do-overs in your relationship within the first like month, she'll probably just go, just move on, just don't continue, move on with your life. Something ain't working. So overall, I just felt like, on top of that, the story was a little lackluster. Like, there were side characters, and Ben's side characters were really well developed. Arthur's were not at all. They're dealing with these other problems in life that didn't really feel like real problems. It wasn't that good, guys. I didn't like it. I really had to push through it, and I ended up giving it 2.5 out of 5 stars. This just wasn't the story that I was hoping for. It wasn't a well-developed story. I don't think it was executed well. Take it as you will. And then the last book that I have to talk to you guys about today is Hunting Prince Dracula. This is the sequel to Stalking Jack the Ripper. I really enjoyed Stalking Jack the Ripper. It took me by surprise just how much that I liked it, just because, I mean, it was kind of cliche, like the things that were happening, but it was just so much fun. First of all, I got like really oddly obsessed with Jack the Ripper after reading them. Checked out a ton of shit about Jack the Ripper. Anyway, like, I'm gonna solve it. No one has been able to solve it for years and years and years, and here I am thinking I'm gonna solve the case. Anyway, I ended up loving this. Basically, this one is about Audrey Rose and Thomas, who are our two main characters in the series. They're so much fun. They have this witty, flirty thing going on, and I love it. I especially love like the 1800s flirtiness, because it's like so like modest, and like you can't even like look at each other in the same room alone because it's so indecent. For some reason that cracks me up, and I love it. It's like a risk, and there's just something sexy about the risk, even though like today like it'd be whatever to us. This one follows them. They are going to like a morgue school. I don't know what the proper word is. Basically, they're going to this massive castle, and it is known to be the castle of Dracula, or Prince Dracula. These murders start happening in a very mysterious manner. Their bodies are drained of blood, and people are basically starting this rumor that Prince Dracula is back from the grave and he is murdering people, which obviously is not the case. There's someone behind it, and Aubrey Rose and Thomas are going to try to figure it out while also trying to pass school, even though the headmaster is an awful, terrible, mean man. So I really enjoyed this one. I thought it was really fun. I liked it almost as much as I did the first one. I do think that the things that happened in this just didn't really connect, though. It was really hard to like figure out who it was, because I felt like some of the clues were all over the place and just didn't really make sense. They didn't really add up to anyone. And also, Thomas and Audrey are honestly not that great of detectives, because they have yet to actually figure out who the killer is. They just kind of always happen upon the killer by accident, semi-sorta. So it's like, are you guys really that good at what you're trying to do? No, not really. Not really. So I do think this one was a little far-fetched. It was a little hard to follow with the clues, but it was still a lot of fun. I loved the setting. I loved the creepy castle. I loved the tunnels under the castle. Like, it was all really fun, really suspenseful near the end. And it was so vivid. I feel like I was in those creepy ass tunnels. But I did really enjoy it, and I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And then I went out after I finished it and bought the third one. So those are all the things that I read in September. Let me know if you guys have thoughts and feelings about any of these items, or if you plan on reading any of these items. Don't forget to subscribe to see future wrap-ups from me. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!